Good morning. Welcome to Sacred Enzyme. I'm Stacy. I hope you're doing good today. So today we're going to talk about symbolism and heraldry and archangels and and different star systems, because I think this is all coming back together here. And so we're going to hit on these buttons. So the first thing I want to talk about is heraldry. And this is the symbolism that is on the heraldry for King Robert Bruce of Scotland. Now, the Randolph family, they had different heraldry, and I'm not sure why they changed their their symbol on their heraldry. It might have been because their paternal line was different than Robert Bruce of Scotland. How my family is related to King Robert is that King Robert the Bruce of Scotland's mother, she was Celtic. She was Celtic. She was Gaelic Celtic. And before she got married to Robert Bruce's father, she was married to a different man, and she had a child with him, and that's where my family comes from. He died. And then she turned around and she got married to King Robert Bruce's father. So how I'm related to King Robert Bruce is a half sibling. He's a half sibling from his mother. So we have the same mother line. And that goes back to old Celtic Gaelic line. And the other part of my family is like they're Frankish and Scandinavian. And so, and German. So I have this on both sides of my family. Now, actually, my mom's mother, I had a African grandmother many generations back, and she came from, I think it was Cape something. I'd have to go back and look. But anyway, and then I also have Basque on my grandma's side too. So, I think that comes in from the Berbers, because I think that my grandmother's line were Atlantis. They came from Atlantis, and there were two different seedings in Atlantis, and one was given these reptilian genetics, and I think that is Anunnaki is in my dad's family line in the Randolphs. I do, because I think that all of the royalty in the world have like Anunnaki genes, because they've been here for 45,000 years. So we have to go back and look at these symbolisms, because there's a lot to this. And when we first started talking about it, I kept saying everything's in the symbols, everything's in the symbols. That's what I just kept hearing. You got to go back and look at the symbols. It's all in the symbols. So I'm visiting this theory again, that I need to go back and look at the symbols, because they all tie into star systems. Okay, so the blue lion. Now, blue is very important, and that's the other thing, is the colors. And then what about the flags? I mean, so you can just go on and on from here. So blue is very important when we're talking about spirituality and a seeding of a planet, because blue were the color of some of these races that came out of these cedar races that came out of these higher dimensional realms. They were blue, okay? And there's a lot of people that come from these blue people. And it'd probably be safe to say that all of us have the blue genetics. And I think that their skin, as a lot of them were coming here and they were seeding their genetics, these blue beings, they came through Vega, and they were an Azurite being, and many of them had blue skin. But when they were going to different constellations, because there was a lot of wars going on between the planets. They had planets that blew up, and like Mars got damaged and all this, and the people had to evacuate Mars, and they came here. And those Martians, I think, were brought here. They all came here as a relocation program, and I think it was through the Archangel Uriel. And I'm not sure exactly when these Martian refugees came on the planet, but they came sometime. And that's when you had the city of Earth, because there's words inside of words. So let's take this apart. So Uriel is a symbol of Taurus and the animal of the bull, okay? And he's also associated with Mars. So could he have been like, if this whole world and universe is basically like almost, I want to say Ponzi scheme or pyramid. Oh gosh, like a Ponzi scheme, a pyramid scheme where you have, bottom up and top down, and it's kind of almost like a management thing, but it's not really. You're getting, as you're learning more and evolving more, you're going through this hierarchy of evolution of school. Pretty much you're just spending, your soul is in school. Because my friend that I used to work with many years, she came to me after she passed, and she told me she was still on the job. And I thought, well, that's interesting. What does she mean by still on the job? What is she working? She was in a uniform and everything, and she was holding a clipboard. And she was with another person, and he didn't say anything. And I thought, oh, well, maybe he's her guardian or her guide, or, he might have been one of these higher angelics that just took a physical form, because she took a holographic physical form. And it's interesting because, when my family and my friends come back and visit me after they've passed from this reality, they keep the same avatar, but they always bring it in as like in their prime, when they really look good, when they really look their best. I find that's really funny. My grandmother, when she comes to me, she's always in her prime. Always, always. But everybody that I've ever seen that have crossed over were in their prime. And I think that's really interesting. And I like to look at my grandmother that when she's that way, because it makes me go back in my timeline and remember the time that was around when she was in her prime, which was like the 1970s. And so I start thinking about all the things that happened in the 70s, because my grandmother was very involved with our family. So I started taking this apart. And so Uriel, if Uriel was associated with Mars, so maybe he was the administrator of Mars, right? Administrator of the evolution of Mars, the inhabitants of Mars. Think about it. Okay, we know that what these Zeta Reticuli group were. These were beings that went around seeding planets and doing genetic work and stuff. And they have fallen, and these are the ones that have time traveled back, that are trying to repiece their genetics, because they've descended, and they're the nastiest race of extraterrestrial that are living on our planet or inhabiting our planet, behind the scenes running things. This is the nasty group. This is the serious threat one that I'm reading a lot about. And if you've ever seen, there's a cartoon called Megamind, where this character is a little small character and his head kind of looks like a light bulb. That's what they look like. And a lot of people call them grays, because they are these Zeta groups. The Zeta group is a mastermind. They're super intelligent. They're mastermind at genetics and cloning and all of this stuff. So they use genetic material. They collect all this genetic material, and then they just create what they want. And so this is where a lot of this stuff is coming in, with the tie-in with the Aldebaran group and the Nazi, and these genetic experiments that are happening on the planet, and this adrenochrome farms that they have these kids at. That are in these underground places. And, there's a lot about this, because they've devolved in their humanity. They have knowledge of higher realms of density. And we're talking like they're creator beings, they're creator angelics, or ETs, however you want to call them. We've got to come up with a common term that we can use, because they're not really archangels. They're not archangels. They are, maybe that's like a job title, but they're administration, and they are these higher dimensional beings that that have come from one. We started at one, and they've just divided themselves down. And see, what's happened is our souls have been following these patterns like all through the solar system. We all originally came from Lyra. Lyra got destroyed. But this is another interesting thing, is because they talk a lot about these draconians, and they come from Draco. Okay, well, they were dragons. These Draco people that are what they talk about now, these reptiles, or these Draco, these dark beings that are here, these on our planet, that they have 10-strand DNA, and or 10.5, and so they're in the lower dimensional than these Anunnaki. So whatever's happening with these stargates in this ascension cycle that's beyond 10.5, it doesn't really concern them, because they're kind of like stuck. They can't, this Anunnaki group that came from Sirius and these other collectives, and they've merged all of their DNA. See, this is what's happened when you become multicultural. You got a lot of strands, but see, it causes programming error. And so this is why we were seeded with all 12 different genetics, because these 12 different genetics allow us to be a universal outlet for any one of these creator beings' genetics to be put into our avatar. Does this make sense? Okay, so we have different these different groups, and some of them have fallen, just like the Archangel Michael collective. It fell because what used to be beautiful Mother Dragon, right, got fallen when its DNA went through Orion. And when they went, a lot of these groups went through the Orion constellation. This is where you had this intermixing of this genetic codes that caused de-evolution and falling from source. This is when it happened, was in Orion. This is during all of these Orion wars. So this is why you have some of these teachers that are teaching that say that Archangel Michael collective has fallen. And then you have others that utilize Archangel Michael in meditations, in holding space for readings, or going into the Akashic records. So you have a duality with Michael. And so I think that we really have an opportunity to help raise the vibration of Archangel Michael and help unbury the dragon energy and help these Draco beings ascend. I think that's what we're going to have to do. This is what's going to help Archangel Michael's collective, because he's a Melchizedek. He was here teaching. See, this is how it's all coming to me now. This is how the Archangel Michael is connected to the Divine Mother, is because the Divine Mother was the dragon. She's androgynous. This is why these Draco reptilians say they're perfect and that they don't have to change, because they're androgynous. But see, they've fallen because they've gotten some bad codes, and they went from being dragons to being what they are now. So this whole Draco collective is part of Archangel Michael. These all come from Lyra, because Lyra is the lions. And see, this is the lion. It's on so many different flags, buildings, statues, everywhere, all around Europe. So this to me is an indicator that when Archangel Michael's collective was here, that the symbolism is the world lion. It's the Divine Mother Dragon and the Lion of Lyra. It's a winged lion that turned into a griffin. The griffin was the dragon. The winged lion They just started making it look more dragon-like in the face because, you know, you had this winged lion in China, in Tibet. You have it all over the world. But Rome and Venice really adopted it. And I think that that's because you have, you have a site that is underneath Rome. And I think it's number 4 or 5. Let me double check. It's number 5. It's a Q site. It's in Rome. And you have Q site number 5. This also goes hand in hand with Bali, Indonesia, and Machu Picchu, Peru. So all 3 of these sites work together for a certain Stargate. So I think that this one plays in with the lion and Archangel Michael, who is the dragon. Leo is the zodiac sign. And he's also, this is the other interesting thing about Archangel Michael, is that he's symbolized with golden eyes and flaming red hair. So did the Nephilim come from Archangel Michael? A lot of stuff came from the Archangel Michael collective, because if we started with dragons and then we got reptilians, and they were the ones that created the dinosaurs because they got hooked up with the Zetas, right? Zetas time traveled back. See, they started messing, the Zetas in attempt, what they actually are attempting to do is, what I'm understanding is that they're traveling in time to destroy their timeline, because they have suffered so much in falling and pain and trauma that there's so many codes locked on their collective that they want to come back in time to just destroy the whole collective and everything with it and along with it and connected to it. This is their mission, is to completely destroy the planet. And see, I've been doing more research on Harold Katz, and he said that Satan is actually merged back with Source, that they did a healing, that there's been healing that's been happening on the planet because of everybody's work, straightening out the Merkaba, going and really working in the heart zone and bringing in that crystal energy into the heart, knowing that that's the center of power, is empathy and compassion and love. And that we have to understand, we have to embrace the shadow. We've got to embrace the shadow. See, this is all shadow aspects of things that's happened in the past that's not been addressed. It's just been pushed to the side. And then, you know, we've had all of these elements that have been introduced by some of these collectives, like drugs and alcohol, all kind of things to mask the trauma work and the incorporation of the shadow, because they're trying to create a wormhole. So it's creating a huge amount of darkness that can suck light into it. You know, every wormhole or black hole that sucks through, what goes through that comes out as on the other side as it's a sun to another constellation. And I'm like, okay, that's really interesting. That just shows how true duality works. I mean, it's crazy. So you've got the Michael collective, which is the lion and the dragon. And I always felt like Archangel Michael had something to do with the Divine Mother, and that he came direct, that he's the Sophia. And, you know, and then we have Raphael, who I think is associated with Atlantis. And I think that the Raphael comes from Sirius, because Raphael is associated with Aquarius, and that's mother energy. But that's also the fish. And this is where we get the horse fish. I'm sorry. We get these fish beings that have mother energy. This is the book of healing that comes with Raphael. So this is where you get all these fish beings that they talk about that came after the cataclysm and the great flood and helped restart humanity with knowledge. This is the Raphael collective. I keep saying he, but they're androgynous. This is symbolized by Aquarius and is associated with Atlantis because they are the fish. And then you had the twin and the Pisces symbolism that's also associated with Jesus, because Jesus's collective comes out of this group, because we had one Jesus that had 9 strands, and you had the other Jesus that had 12. So we had this, we had the 12 strand Jesus would have had to have come in Lyra with the Michael collective, the 12. So this is why you have such a close association with Archangel Michael and Jesus, and a lot of these biblical teachings. Archangel Michael's really involved. He's even involved with, you know, some of this other stuff with Abraham and stuff. And, you know, at this time, we'd already had some of these genetics had gotten in. So at this point, you know, the genetics are already falling. So they were here helping. They were here helping. Whether they were really doing good help, I'm not sure. But then you had, you know, you have representations of other systems here. Like you have Alpha Centauri with your Oceantar, okay, which is like your centaur, which was half horse, half human. This is half fish, half horse. This comes from Alpha Centauri. So Alpha Centauri also had to be involved with Atlantis. So somehow or another, well, you know, with the Archangel Michael collective did go through Alpha Centauri. So you've got Archangel Michael, and you've got Raphael, Archangel Raphael, that are definitely involved in Atlantis. Now these groups have come through Alpha Centauri, and they've come through Sirius A and B. Also, you've got Orion, because you've got Dragon. See, Archangel Michael's collective has got to be absolutely ancient if it's represented by the dragon and the lion, because this is your Draco group. This draconian group came from the dragons. They're fallen dragon collective, which makes me really sad. And this is, you know, and this is the Divine Mother energy. No wonder she's in stasis. This is why the dragon is in stasis, because the collective fell, part of the collective fell. And then you have the lion that is represented by royalty. And also you have Rome that took it, and then you have it morphed with this, the St. Matthew's, or St. Mark. You know, so they try to take all the lion statues and cover them up by saying that this is a representative of representation of St. Mark from the Bible. No, it's not. It's from the Archangel Michael collective that came from Lyra. And I also think that the Sphinx was a winged lion. A winged lion. And it was, when the Archangel Michael collective came here, I think it was the first seeding of the planet. This is my intuition, what my intuition's telling me. The Archangel collective was the first seeding of the planet. It was signified by the dragon and the lion. Okay? Well, they came together because this is masculine and feminine. At one time, they were together, and it was a winged lion. Okay? We had a separation of masculine and feminine. So then we had a lion and we had a dragon. Right? Then we had this time where they went through and they were killing all the dragons. Right? This is when they're killing Divine Mother. This is Tiamat. This is all these dragons, and the remains are still in the crust of the planet. Because what dies stays in the planet. And what's built stays with the planet. So if you're going back and forth from particle to anti-particle Earths, some of the stuff is going to be in one planet, a version of Earth, and some is going to be in this version of Earth. Right? So a lot of stuff, a lot of proof and evidence is in the anti-particle Earth. the evidence of Atlantis, okay? Because they fell. They fell as a collective. So we had Archangel Michael, Dragon, and Lion. They came here. They had the whole Giza Plateau set up because that was one of the stargates. Okay, so we've got the list of stargates here, okay? So number 12 was in the UK, but let's see which one is in Giza. Giza is number 4, and that's a Mente stargate. So a Mente is stargate number 4 in Giza. And then you also had, they were using that to teleport. Underneath the Sphinx was a teleportation station that they could go in there and basically beam themselves up anywhere. Okay? So you've got that as a marking spot of an energy center. Okay? So this is Lyra constellation here. This is these Lyran beings. They came in and they set up the grid for the planet. They locked in the crystal grid. They built the first pyramids. They set up all of that. And their civilization got destroyed. They were destroyed in Lyra in the constellation, and they fled there. So, you know, they could have been here in this material realm. They could have come here and set up shop, right? And, you know, and they brought the dragons with them. That's why they've always been here. This is your dragon energy, your mother, divine mother energy. It was here. And at that time was a golden era. That was a golden era. But then the genetics, all the stuff started happening, and then the genetics started falling, and it fell through sex because they separated them, and the female was impregnated. She was impregnated with the codes from these other fallen, you know, these fallen collectives. This is, you know, she was the one. That's why in some of this literature I was reading about Eve, the divine mother, we talk about she merged into the tree of life to protect herself from being raped, as I think is what it was saying in that literature. I would have to go back and I'll have to go back and look and see what book that was that I was reading that from. But they were talking, it might have been some of the Gnostic teachings, but they were talking about Eve, Zoe Eve, merging back in with the tree of life because she was being violated. So maybe that's what it was. Her divine blueprint was being violated. And so we had the divine mother dragon energy that was being purposely morphogenetically manipulated to take the divine mother out and make it all masculine and make this patriarchal. You guys got to watch Barbie, that movie Barbie. That's totally about Atlantis. There's Atlantis symbolism and everything. They all wear like mermaid type costumes. Barbie, when she's dancing in the beginning, she got a mermaid shell on and she scales on her outfit, on her sequin pants. She looks like a mermaid. But they talk about being in, basically they're in the 4th dimension in planet Tara, which is our harmonious, our planet that if we evolved into 4th dimensional reality, that we would merge into this planet Tara, which is our harmonious evolution. And then we will go into Gaia. And that's 5 dimension. Well, they're in Tara, but Tara got destroyed, right? And it was, but you know, they're saying that things are happening. Basically, you got this Mandela thing happening where she's feeling her lower dimensional self that's on the earth plane, her Barbie, herself, okay, her 1728th version or whatever, that's in the material realm. She's feeling her emotions because she's in a perfect state in 4D in Tara. But she has to go to 3D and correct what's happening because it's backflowing and it's affecting her. It's totally about Atlantis. Totally about Atlantis. And then they come here, and Ken, all the men are named Ken. None of them have an identity. Okay? They're all named Ken. And they just lived for the women, kind of like the Amazon women, kind of like Atlantis. It was run by the Divine Mother. It was perfect for the Divine Mothers, but apparently it wasn't too perfect for the Divine Father, because he didn't have an importance, because he didn't have a womb. He didn't have a womb, so he didn't really have a purpose. I guess he was just kind of waiting around to mate, because maybe that was the whole point of separating masculine from feminine, was for mating, for experiencing pleasure on the planet. That's the whole point of having an avatar, was it came with all these perks. Came with all these perks. You could have sex, you could do this, you didn't have to bud anymore. You know, you could show your love for each other. You could love yourself. Yeah, love thyself, right? Love thyself. Literally, they were loving themselves. But then it all got screwed up because of the codes were falling. So, I mean, and then you had Gabriel, who is symbolized by the swan and the eagle. And so that whole constellation of Lyra, and the one that's in this is called the basket of creation there. It's an outline of a swan. And, you know, some of these early Hebrew people, they talk about the swan constellation and how they're connected to that. Well, that's a Gabriel collective. And this is also Scorpio. And this is one of the places that I think I'm from, is this whole Scorpio cradle there. And they call it like the basket of creation or something like that. It has to do with the Milky Way and its connection to Lyra. And this is Gabriel collective. So, I mean, this is really interesting, is that you see a lot of eagle symbolism. So this is Gabriel. Was this Gabriel's collective? This is water element. So you've got the original seeding. You've had 3 seedings. We had the seeding of Lemurian and Atlantis. So I think that Lemurian and Atlantis were a group, try again. We're trying again. We had the first time, which was all these huge megalithic buildings that they had, these huge bricks and stuff. I think these were done by the mother dragon and the lion. This was the first seeding of the planet, of humanity. And so you had all of these 5D technologies that were here. You had the rod and the staff that were being used. You had crystal technology. You had everything. And then you had the second go round. Okay, you had the second go round, and we had some fallen, but we had these different groups that were coming in. We had Alpha Centauri. We had I think everybody was trying. Everybody was trying to make a go. And then we had that go by the wayside. Then we had the third seeding. And then I think the third seeding, they were really attempting to get it right. And so I think that you had Michael. You had part of the Michael collective, because he's mother energy. Maybe he's trying to get his, you know, he's trying to merge his parts so he can bring his collective back up to source. So you have the Michael collective, you have Raphael, which is your Aquarius, and you know, and then you've got Uriel and Gabriel. I think that you had all of them, because you've got the bull. And you've got the bull in the Greek stuff, a lot of, in the Greek times too. You have this Mycenaean stuff where they were jumping the bull. So, you know, that's a time period that's on Earth. You also have outlines and etchings of bulls that are throughout the pyramid complex and in the chambers. There's bull symbolism that's all through there. So you had Uriel was here. When Mars came here, they put the bull on everything. So maybe this is why you had some of these cave paintings, is that, you know, these early Homo sapien people that were here, that were here during this Ural seeding, where you maybe had the city of Ur, and now you had Assyria. This was Assyrian. This was Sirius A. Assyrians, they were the ones that were fighting with everybody, because Sirius A has a little bit of a coding thing that gives them, they have a superiority complex. And this is where you get the Zeta Reticuli influence in Sirius A. And you have, this is what goes into this Aldebaran collective and this this part of this collective that was with Nazi Germany. And then you had, what's her name? Basava, Marie Basava. I can't remember what her name is. But she wrote some of these books, and she was in the Tool Society. And, well, they were all involved with the Aldebaran beings. These were Zeta Reticuli. And so I don't know if everyone that is in the Zeta collective has fallen or not. I don't know. I can't say. This requires more studying. But, you know, I really find it interesting that these archangels, we can actually pinpoint them to the time that they were on the planet, because they all symbolize their zodiac sign, a planet. And, you know, we had a lot of catastrophes on these other planets. You know, Maldek exploded. Tara is gone. So, I mean, and you have fragments of them, of this planet that blew up, that goes around Saturn, is the way that I understand it. It's all throughout the universe, and it's went into our planet. It's in the core of our planet. And so we do have inner earth beings that are in a higher frequency than us, and I think they came from this first seeding, that this is where Mother Dragon is. And this is why you have these two groups that live in inner earth together. You wonder, how is it that they get along? How is it that you got these Lyra groups and these Draco groups that are collectively living in inner earth? Is because they're one collective. They're Archangel Michael. This is Melchizedek. Okay, I just got it. It just came to me. So what do you guys think of this? And don't forget that you can speed my things up by hitting that little wheel up in the corner, because this is all on the fly. I'm downloading all this stuff as we're talking. I'm meditating it in. I want to hear what you have to say. I think that there is something to this. There's something to it. And you guys need to go back and look at your genealogy and see which one of the animals is on your family's heraldry. See which one it is, because almost all of them do have one. So this could pretty much tell you what Stargate you're really connected with, if you want to ask me. So I definitely think this takes me back to Lyra. Just like that day that I was outside and I was talking to God. I was talking to Source. I'm like, where am I from? What am I doing here? Remember? And I was like really in my feelings about it. And then I had that spark that popped in my living room and the whole floor shook. But also I had this twinkling, and when I looked up there through my app on my phone, because I have a star map, it told me that it was Lyra. It was the constellation of Lyra. And I never really knew much about Lyra. And then when I looked it up, it was saying they were these cat beings, these bird beings. And I was like, no wonder I keep seeing, you know, these bird beings. And birds everywhere, very much in tune with birds. And I have bird nose too, see? And I think it goes back to this early times that we got a bird nose. Some of the stuff shows up in your face. Like a lot of Jewish people, they'll look just alike. It's because where we come from. It's not racist. It's just in our codes. It's like I got this nose. I'm Ashkenazi Jew. I'm the old Jew. And it comes from my grandmother, my mom's line. And they're from these early collectives. And, you know, I think they came from the Gabriel collective, the Holy Grail line, my grandmother. And this is where you get this nose. And my dad's side, I think that he came in through the Michael collective. And this is why they have the lion that represents their family, is because they are part of this fallen Draco collective. And so we've got to work on really, I think that the key for all of this is going to be is that we reprogram our biology so we can reactivate our codes. And I'm learning a lot from this gentleman, Harold, Kautz. He has some really good integration methods that he uses, because what he does is, since we are in a morphinogenic field and everything that we say is manifesting, right? We can actually manifest our healing by commanding this particular DNA code to be healed. For example, let me see. I wrote it down because I was like, what? That is absolutely incredible. So he says that you have the ability to fix your own codes by calling on that code. Where did I write it? Please don't tell me that I can't find it. By calling on that code to correct the imbalances. And so okay, here it is. So you say something like this. You're in a meditative state, right? You activate your Merkaba protection shield, right? And you say, okay, and we've talked about methylation, how we're not methylating, our body's not methylating, and this is why we're getting toxed out. So he says, you say, and I'm going to say, we also say in the power of 3, because everything has to be in powers of 3 in the Trinity. By the power of 3, I demethylate my gene BRCA1. This is the gene that causes disease. So you say this 3 times. I demethylate my gene BRCA1. I demethylate my gene BRCA1. And so it is. Now, if you're like me and you have problems with your thyroid, and you can tell I've gained 30 pounds because my thyroid is so bad. It's so out of whack. Everything else with my health is absolutely perfect, but changing these codes and flipping these codes on, because there are so many overlays and seals that are put on our gene lines because of things in the past and everything that's happened in the past. It's overlays on us. It affects the thyroid gland, right? Because all of these things are connected on the vagus nerve. We talked about that already. Okay, so it's this one. By the power of 3, I demethylate my gene 53BP1. I demethylate my gene 53BP1. I demethylate my gene 53BP1. And so it is. So I thought that was really interesting because that's reprogramming the biology. So we're reprogramming our biological computer by calling on the specific gene and commanding it to be demethylated. I think that is phenomenal. He has some amazing, amazing insights. I would love to meet this guy. I would love to talk to him. So what do y'all think about that? And he also thinks that parasites are demonic. I think that they are intelligent, demonic biology. And he talks about the black goo. And so, you know, the black goo is the liquid black goo that's in Earth came from Gaia, because we had the fallen dragon collective, the mother. She's in stasis. She's basically black goo that is the blood of our planet, is the divine mother. And it's going to be us merging all of these, you know, these essences, these souls, these elementals, all of these things, these collectives that have fallen. We have to assist them with our heart and, you know, with divine grace, and helping them connect and reactivate their dormant DNA codes, their dormant DNA, and help these people ascend, because we're bringing up the frequency of the planet. They can't stay here, you know, and they're part of our collectives. They're part of us. There are shadow aspects at this point. This is why everything has to ascend, because it's this dragon, is this serpent eating its tail, is because we're a cosmic wheel and everything goes in circles. So we can start back up to the new golden age with all of the memories and lessons of everything that we'd forgotten. And we can make this golden age better than any other golden age. I mean, think about it. Think about it. There's so much power. There's so much power in using the grid for its intended purpose. It's for It's for us being stewards to the planet. And right now, it's the best time ever. And even we could even help the Zetas. I mean, some of the Zetas obviously want to ascend back to source. Otherwise, they wouldn't be taking genetics from some of these bloodlines or some of these people that made prior incarnation soul contracts with to agree to assist them in their raising of their species so they can get back to source. So what do you guys think? I'd love to hear what you have to say. 45 minutes, man. It's a super long video, but it's a lot of interesting information that we can springboard off of, because we're finding stuff out, and this stuff is really, really starting to make sense to me. It's really starting to make sense. Maybe I'm just remembering more now that, my codes are being, reconfigured, and that I run a Merkaba every day, and, I activate my shields, and things are like, I'm starting to wake up, and I'm starting to remember, like, what happened. I don't know. It's just weird. And I've been getting a lot of downloads, and my brother's been around like everywhere lately. Everywhere. Like my brother Brian especially, he helped me with the food on Christmas. He helped me make the squash. I think it's really interesting. My brothers love to help me cook. They come around when I'm making the family holiday meals. So I love that, because that's when I miss them the most, and I'm thinking about them the most. So with that, when you come and find me, I'll be here. We're living the past, present, and the future, all at the same time. So get outside today. I'm going to go outside today and get my plum trees. My plum trees just arrived. I ordered some plum trees for the orchard, and the mulberry trees are doing great. I'm going to check on the black walnut trees. I have them planted in the front, and they're seeming like, I don't know if it's just because they're not going to start sprouting until, maybe the end of January or first part of February when spring comes. I'm hoping they are. But I got 3 plums, and I'm really excited to see how these guys do. So with that, and then when I get everything put together, we're going to do a whole episode on Alchemy Garden. I'm going to show you everything that took from our last alchemy experiments. We got a bunch of jackfruit trees, almost all the evergreens took. The jackfruit trees, the bitter orange, the langans did not take. There was a Mexican tangerine that took. The lemongrass took. We had quite a bit of stuff that took, but there was a lot of stuff that did not take. So I'm definitely come to the conclusion with alchemy gardening, if you want to plant your fruits and vegetables from the ones you eat, you've got to seed them in as soon as you use them in the kitchen. So you're better off to have a little window box or something in your dining room, or someplace that you have in an office or whatever, with a little fluorescent light over the top. And then when you are cooking or whatever, and you cut up a tomato or whatever, you want to replant those seeds or reuse those scraps, put them right then, seed them right then in your little pot. And then, you can put little popsicle sticks, or you can mark them or whatever. It's not hard to keep up with them, or just put some little magnets or something on the outside of your light, but so you can start them immediately, because as soon as they come out of the fruit or vegetable, it just seems like you get such a good output if you plant them right out of the womb, literally out of the womb. So with that, we're going to do a whole thing on the alchemy garden. I'm super excited about how everything's coming along, and what we got going on for the seed bank, and and helping everybody on their way to wellness and reactivation in our golden age. And one of the ways is we got to get to feeling better. So thanks for spending all this time with me this morning, almost an hour. Super long video, and just more information constantly flowing in. And with that, I thank you for watching Sacred Enzyme, and I hope to catch you on the next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.